All right. Thank you, John. I want to thank everyone for being here. It was a great win Saturday. It was our first victory over Western Michigan, and really speaks volumes to our ball club because we know how good Western is. And they beat UConn the last 2 years, a team that we competed with earlier this season, and had a one-possession loss to them. So it was great to get after Western the way we did and secure that victory. And also they came off a big win against their arch rival, Central Michigan. So I thought our kids did a great job all week preparing. Our coaches had a great game plan, and these young men went out there and really fought for each other. Some of the highlights, start with special teams. This young man, Tyler Grassman, did a great job. That last punt was inside the 10. He nailed that. That was the first time that we hit a punt inside the 10, which gave us tremendous field position. And that was something that we've been really getting after our team with, is terms of field position, win the field position battle. And we did that Saturday, but it really showed up in the fourth quarter. We were plus 25 in the fourth quarter if you look at the field position, which was huge in being able to close out the game. Would have liked to have our offense close out the game, but our defense came up big. As we know, we have faced two very good quarterbacks the last 2 weeks, and Dysert and Carter, and I couldn't be more proud the way our defense really stepped up big. Carter came back, held him to just under 50% pass completion, but intercepted him 4 times. You know, and Courtney Lester, with his effort to get 3, was a school record, first of all, for us to intercept the ball 4 times, but also Courtney having 3 himself was the first individual player to be able to do that. And he was named the Defensive MAC East Player of the Week, and he was also the National Defensive Back Player of the Week, and also the University at Buffalo student athlete. So he hit the trifecta, I guess. So that was pretty impressive. And I really liked the way that our defense in coverage contested all the balls, you know, in the air. And that's what we talk about. Coach Moe, Coach Maurice Lindquist, our defensive back coach, Coach Dietzel, did a great job with our coverage unit, and I really like what I saw out of Means, Mack, Mosley, Stockman, Skinner, all had great solid games. But sitting next to me, a young man really stepped up, Joe Licata, 285 yards passing, was the second highest UB freshman accomplished since Drew Willie, with no interceptions. You know, did a great job. You know, one of our best receivers is obviously Alex Nutz. Did a great job, had 9 catches, 140 yards, another touchdown. Just doing a tremendous job. 3 players have averaged over 400 yards. It's the first time in the history of our program we've had 3 players to go over 400 yards apiece, and that's Bo, and that's Campbell, and that's Zordich. It's huge. And then Devin had 107 yards rushing, had the longest rushing touchdown in the game, had a 45-yarder in that game. He came up big, and he has been doing that, and he was our top all-purpose producer. So we're 77 yards shy of a 2,000-yard season as a team, and we're 103 yards shy of breaking the single-season rushing record. You know, so real pleased with the way we did. But what the play that truly defines this team in that game was a 3rd and 6 to Freddie Lee. It was a screen pass. It was a low throw. Joe threw a little low, but Freddie came up big with a great catch, and he got stopped right at the line of scrimmage. And I'm telling you, the offensive line and Freddie, with their pure determination, it was like a scrum in rugby, ran that guy and pushed him for a 6-yard or 7-yard gain to secure a first down and keep our drive alive. Really showed pure determination, passion. So as you know, we're very excited about getting these 2 wins in a row, 2 significant wins to get us on the right track. But now we've got to go on the road and be a mature, responsible football team and win a game against UMass in Gillette Stadium, and it's going to be a great trip. We got to have a great week of preparation. So with that, I'll open up to any questions.
Well, I'm going to assume Bo's day to day. Can you give us where Devin stands?
Same with him. Both of them were out there yesterday, but you know, we just got to kind of see where they're at again today. They felt a lot better yesterday than they did Saturday and Sunday, so you know that's always good. It's just always tough to make a call today based on, you know, where they're at for Saturday. But we hope that we'll have both of them back, and we'll be prepared to go forward if we don't have their services or their services are a little bit limited from that standpoint. But I'd love to get them both back, and we're working extremely hard. These kids have been in 2, 3, 4 times a day to get themselves back in the mix.
When you look at the progress, and you talked a little bit about this Saturday, but the first thing was you had to get a win. Get the win. Then it was, well, can you put together back-to-back wins, which hadn't happened around here. Well, okay, back-to-back wins. I mean, the next thing on that chart would kind of be a road win, right? Would you agree with that? Can you?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what we talked about yesterday. We had a great team meeting yesterday. The young men are very energized and very focused, and they've been that way all year. We've been, like I said, we've been close. You look at a one-possession game against Toledo. You look at the game we had against Pitt, and, there was times in that game it was in the balance. You see our game against Ohio. These kids have felt it. They've stayed true to, the message that I've asked them to do, and they were able to secure these wins. But it's great just to see them coming together. But you're right, the next step. It's November. College football in November is probably the most exciting time of the year, and I can certainly tell you that these kids are very focused and understand the work that needs to go in this week to prepare for a road win. It's been too long, been way too long. And we need to accomplish that step so we can continue moving this program in the right direction. And we need to do that going on the road against UMass, who comes off a big win. They won a big win last week against Akron on the road. But special teams played a big part of that. Turnovers played a big part of that. And that's how you win games. We talk about it all the time. So, we've been able to secure those opportunities, and to do that this week is going to be our main focus. But one day at a time, and don't get too far ahead of ourselves. But you're right, that's a big step in this process.
Joe, it'll be your first road start, and it comes at a place that you've seen a lot of games from before. I'm sure. Have you thought a little bit about how things are going to be different for you as a quarterback on the road, and then aside from the fact you're going to stroll out in the field when the Patriots play?
It'll be definitely a cool atmosphere to play there. I've been watching Bills games there for a while, and unfortunately they've never been able to win there. So we're going to try to be the first Buffalo team to win there. And Tom Brady's my favorite player, so it'll be cool to be on the field where he plays.
We were talking about it a little bit before he came in. I mean, the one thing I think I've been most impressed about with Joe is his decision making. I mean, he hasn't really rattled. Somebody brought up one pass we were talking about that I must have missed the other day when he's shaking his head. He knows which one it is. But it just seems to me he hasn't made many bad decisions at all, which says a lot for someone that's just coming in cold, so to speak, in the middle of the season.
Sure. And we saw that in his high school career. He's been developed the right way. Comes from a tremendous family. His high school career, Coach Krasinski, did a great job with him, and then Coach Patterson and Coach Wood certainly. But Joe studies. Joe works at it. It's just not a fluke. We all know, and it takes a tremendous amount of time, energy, and effort to put yourself in a mentally prepared state of mind, and then to be able to manage it. And he made some tremendous checks again Saturday night. That got us some first downs and some key plays, and now he's got a lot of other guys around him too that he's got a lot of faith and trust in, and they do with him. And the offensive line again, did a great job. There was a couple sacks in there, we all understand, but look, we all know Western's a very good football team. We all know Miami, Ohio is a very good football team. But what I've seen in Joe these last 2 weeks is certainly proven to show that he's been prepared and he's ready to go, and he's managing, and he's very accurate with his throws, and he's got a lot of clarity of thinking, and it just shows his maturity, and that's what you love to see, him getting his chance, and now he's taking advantage of it. Now he's going to have a chance to do it again this Saturday against UMass.
Joe, did you feel that clarity of thinking? I mean, compared to the first game, were the nerves gone? Did you feel more relaxed, a little calmer, maybe a little more in control of your own situations Saturday?
Yeah, I think with experience comes more calmness and clarity, and the game starts to slow down, and I'm looking forward to, in the future, the game just keeps slowing down for me, and things are just going to open up a lot more for me, I think.
coach says, like, we got to put more of the game plan on the passing game and on your shoulders, are you welcome? Are you ready for that? If that's what it will be on Saturday?
As a competitor, you always want the ball in your hands. So, I mean, I'm ready for any challenge that Coach Quinn has for me and that UMass presents. So, I'm excited for this weekend.
Anything surprise you through the first 2 seasons that you maybe weren't anticipating, or you kind of shake your head at when you look back on it? I didn't think that was going to happen, or I didn't think those guys could do that, or I mean, is there anything on the flip side that's come that way?
You know, I play with a lot of great players on this offense. You know, being able to check the ball down to Brandon Oliver or to Devin Campbell and just getting the ball in those guys' hands and watching them make plays is unbelievable. I mean, you go back to the 2008 season with Drew Willie here. A lot of his completions were to James Starks, and you know, you learn a lot from that. That successful quarterbacks check the ball down to their running backs and know where they're at all times. So, you know, I've just been if nothing's open downfield, I've been trying to do that.
When did the game start slowing down?
I think throughout the season, as soon as I've been getting in the games and you know, just really getting some exposure, I think it's just been slowing down with that exposure.
Jeff, is part of the evidence of that? I think Joe threw the ball away 4 or 5 times when nobody was open in the game on Saturday. Do you look at that and see what does that tell you about a quarterback when he can make those kind of decisions?
His maturity, and you know, he's a very intelligent young man. Has a good feel for the game. You know, he senses things, and he knows, you know, how important it is in the role of a quarterback to, you know, and not to force things, you know, and you live to play another snap. You know, there's other moments in the game. It's the next play. Sometimes that play doesn't just quite go the way you design it, breaks down, but, you know, Joe's been able to get us out of some of those jams. And, you know, like he said, he's got other players that he can rely upon, you know, to do things that they need to do in order for him to look good and to keep this offense flowing and keeping in good rhythm, and to continue building on what we've been able to establish over the last 2 weeks. And Joe's been doing that. But just, you know, again, it shows a lot about his upbringing. You know, and that's what we shared a little bit of a story before we came in here today, just about my 2 sons. And, you know, and I related back to when I first got to know Joe. Joe was the first young man that, you know, I had a chance to get to know in the Western New York area. You know, and he was a junior, and, you know, and I came here. I had a couple coaches that were, Coach Bilkey said, hey, you need to know about who this kid is. And so that was the first guy that first school that I went and visited, you know, was Williamsville South, you know, to find out more about who's this Joe Licata guy, you know. And it was it was the best move I've made, you know, and I've made a lot of good decisions in my life. Some people may not always agree with that, but I know this one sitting next to me, along with a lot of players here, recognize that. So, you know, but it starts back home, it does, and it starts back in your career early in your days when you're taught right and you know, and you understand it's about the team, and, you know, and he's been blessed and gifted, and, you know, the guy broke the single season, you know, or career touchdown throws in the state of New York. And then he turns around and backs it up with breaking the record for most 3-point shots made. I mean, you know, so, you know, you've been blessed, you know, if you can do those things. So, and we fought hard. Believe me, this was not an easy recruit to secure, and we worked extremely hard at it. But to have him, you know, and his family here, and just how special they are and what it means, it's just a great feeling. But there's so much more for him to accomplish. This is not just one weekend or one game. You know, this is not just about one season. You know, this is about a young man who's prepared well. And we've got other guys, you know, that have all done the same thing. So, you know, that's what's exciting about it. And I think Joe just, you know, he's blessed, and he knows he's ready to be that team leader that runs the offense and manages it and continues growing to develop. And look, you know, he's here because of some of the things that I've said already in the past. He's been brought up the right way, and he's got a good head on his shoulders. And I feel the same way about my 2 sons, and that was the story I shared with him about my youngest son. You know, about somebody bringing up a fact that, hey, you know, you're a coach's son, but he's been taught to do things the right way. And that's not something that you just all of a sudden find when you bring a kid to your school. You have to know that that kid was brought up the right way the day he was born. And that's what I've seen in Joe and his family.
Coach Gesnick, Lester, Luis Kidder, and Joe, sometimes you have to remind yourselves expect a lot out of your players as soon as they get on the field. And, Joe's still a guy who's 2 years out of high school.
It's great because, it was senior day, and it was a great day. It was the second time that we won a senior day football game here as a Division I-A program, and I was involved in both of them. Okay, a lot of people don't realize this, but I was a coach on the Central Michigan staff when we came here and lost in 2004 to the Buffalo Bulls. And then Saturday I was part of it, and I'd much rather be on this side of the end of the deal. But and I shared that with the team, and but it is it's great for our seniors. But they've really done a great job setting the example in what we expect. But it's also young men like Joe, it's Colby, and Jason Carlson, and Andre Davis, and Courtney Lester, and Nigel Johnson, and Khalil Mack, and Bo. There's a lot of players in that junior and sophomore, and even our true freshman class that are coming up in the ranks that understands what we're trying to do and what they're doing for each other and being responsible. And that's what's exciting, you bet. So is there a bright future for the UB football program? There's no question. And it's good to get these 2 wins under our belts. We've been close, and I know that. And I expect a lot of things out of these kids. Now, what they have to do is be able to get back to that same place again, mentally, physically, emotionally, do it on the road, and do it consistently week in and week out. And we see that as an example of the Kent State football team who last year really hit their stride. So there's plenty of evidence out there of if you follow the plan and you really truly believe it in your heart and your mind, you'll win games. And we're doing it the right way, and we're building it on a solid foundation, and we're going to do it with the right kind of people. And Joe's one of those kids, and Courtney is, like a lot of them here.
What's the ceiling for a player like Lee Skinner? He's a sophomore. We've seen a lot of players around the back in teams, defenses. When you have a middle linebacker who's that effective, think about Lee being a sophomore. Just how good can he get?
Well, I hope there's no ceiling. We all know we're climbing that mountain one day at a time, and that's what Dear Lord puts a cloud over the tip so you never see it. You just take it one day at a time, one step at a time, and I think it's important for all of our kids to understand. You just got to keep reaching deep and keep being challenged by the competition that we face in this league. It's one of the finest leagues. You look at how well this conference has showed up this year amongst the national competition out there. We've played some very good teams, and Lee has stepped up because of the things that I keep talking about. He's an RKB. He's the right kind of bull, and he's a smart kid. And I had a great conversation with him in the weight room yesterday. It's interesting you brought him up because sometimes it's just by coincidence that I grab a kid, but I really felt he played one of his best games. He's operating the defense. He's making the checks. He's getting everybody on the same page, and he's going out there and delivering. And that's exciting. So I hope all of them feel that mindset and that understanding that there's no limitations to your ability. You just got to keep reaching deep and down and do it 1 week at a time. Take care of yourself. Stay on top of your books and your classes, organized. And that's how you do things. Do it the right way. And Lee's been doing it the right way.
You mentioned the conference, and I was looking at the BTS rankings and all that. You ever scratch your head looking down there and there's some 4-loss teams, some 3-loss teams there? The team like Northern Illinois isn't in there. And some of the incredibly strong teams we've seen, but Northern especially, and I can't help but think, why isn't the MAC getting the love it seems to deserve?
Well, again, I think there's been some of that, though. There's guys been ranked, teams have been ranked. We know Ohio and Toledo and Northern, and you're going to find out a little bit more this week. As we know, it's November, and we know that teams are going to be competing against each other on the west side and the east side, and Kent and Bowling Green and Northern and Toledo. But it's within the league. So, but the good thing is, you beat a Big Ten team. We've seen that. Ball State beats, South Florida and beats Indiana for the second straight year. Western Michigan beats UConn. Central beats Iowa. And Northern loses to them by a point, and so on and so forth. So what you want to do as a league is to be able to get into some of those matchups, win those games, finish your season strong, go to the MAC championship game, and then go play another big name team, and then then people will start looking at you a little differently and start, the voters and what have you will start looking at you like the TCUs and the Boise's and, those teams that have really stepped up their game, to be able to match the top competition out there. But you got to win those games, and that's what it's all about. But I think the MAC looks to me as solid as it's ever been. I mean, it may be the strongest I've seen, top to bottom.
Does your relationship with Coach Molnar give you any feel for what you're going to see from UMass?
Charlie and I, we spent 6 years together. His son, I hired here as a graduate assistant. I got nothing but great respect for that. I don't think about that. I think about preparing my team, and no matter who's across the field, I want to beat them. And we have to prepare well and play well to do that. And, but I know Charlie's going to have his kids ready to play, and that's what I saw on film against Akron. He went on the road, and a lot of people didn't give him a lot of chance to win that game, but, somehow he got it done. And we've been around Brian Kelly quite some time, but, that kind of rubs off on all of us. But we're our own men, and we're our own head coaches, and we have our own programs, and we're going through stages of development. But he'll have those kids ready, and, we got to bring our A game. But I got a lot of respect for Charlie. Charlie is a very, very good football coach, and he's a great man.
Can you talk about UMass a little bit?
Yeah.
You're going to see him?
You're going to see a lot of different things in terms of offensively. They like to spread you out and throw the ball and move it around. They have a very good tight end. Our quarterback manages it well. He had a great game. Their defense opportunistic. They're going to be multiple, 4 down, 3 down. They're going to be in, some quarters coverage, half coverage, man coverage, from that standpoint. They're more of they play a little bit more even front, the 4 down, head up on the guards and what have you. Special teams is going to play a big factor in it too. Field position, we know we're going in the East Coast, a little bit closer to, where conditions can certainly challenge the opportunity of the game. But I feel good about where our kids are, and watching them on film, their kids play hard, and they're learning how to compete at this level, so it's going to be a tremendous challenge. But, they throw the ball around, they run the ball, good tight end, good quarterback, good defense, but I like where we are in terms of our preparation and where we think we could take our offense against their defense in the matchup and our defense against their offense. And that's been a big key, and then be able to produce special teams-wise. And we need to get a big return. I've said it every week, all year long. We have not done that. We need a big return in either kickoff return. Now, that one was in the map. Well, and I'm saying on a consistent basis. And then maybe I'm thinking a little bit more punt return. That's been something that we haven't really gotten. But, yeah, you're right. We did have that big one in that Miami game. So, but it's going to be a great challenge for us. We got to get ready, and it's going to be great to play in an NFL stadium again.
If Bo and Devin can't go, are we looking at Yuri and then down to Jordan Johnson as does he start moving in the equation? What does the depth look like in your eyes at that position?
Brandon Murray, and we also looked at a guy named Alex Dennison. You saw him when we had that same situation, when we went to Ohio in some key situations. But, we also have, our quarterbacks can handle the ball. We have wide receivers that can handle the ball. So, we've got guys that we're going to get the ball in their hands. And whether it's running game or throw game or screen game, we're going to be designed to take advantage of the things that they give us, and we have to count on everybody stepping up and collectively putting forth their best effort, because there is a chance that you may not get those guys every snap like we had the last 2 weeks.
You talk about no one's ever redshirted for an entire season, but as we get closer to the end of the season, you find yourself more reluctant, maybe, in this situation to burn it for a one game?
Absolutely. I think it's smart just to look at things. I do every day. We look at every single player in our program. Look, it's about winning football games, but it's also, is a young man ready to go? Are those true freshmen really ready to go and play in a game like this, who hasn't been in travel mode, who hasn't prepared that way, hasn't practiced. You know, they've been on the demo squad, you know, for the year. So you're right. At this point, you know, maybe if it's earlier in the season, maybe you do make a move if that's where you're at. But I didn't think we'd be, you know, in this situation again. You know, I just thought, you know, coming back with those guys would be fine. But, you know, we're prepared. Our kids been through it before, and they know what it takes. You know, it's the big boys up front. You know, but I feel good about where our, you know, Brandon is. We know where he's at. He's 100% ready to go. And, you know, it's now his chance to step up and make an impact in this team, as he has done many times before.
Joe, a question for you about Alex. You know, I mean, he's obviously the number one receiver. He's got more than double the amount of catches than anybody else. Obviously, every defense you play knows that he's the guy you guys want to go to as the first choice. Has it been obvious to you when you look at defenses, and how has Alex been able to still produce when everybody knows that that's the guy they have to try to stop?
He's just a great player. I think you've seen that since high school, that he's just a great worker, great player. And, you know, it's about execution. You know, they can double him all they want to, but if he's going to go up and get the ball like you've seen, it's hard to stop him. You know, he's just one of those great players that it's all about execution, and he's just almost impossible to stop because he's that great.
Is it, as a quarterback, do you know that you don't necessarily have to throw it between the 1 and the 9 in order to get a completion to a guy like Alex?
Yeah, I think it was 3rd and 9 in the second half, and I threw a ball. It wasn't my best throw of the day, to say the least, and he just made a great play on it. And, you know, it's just one of those throws that, you know, you throw it, and you're like, I probably shouldn't have thrown that, but, you know, with 19 over there, you know he's going to make a play on it, and he really did. He's a great player.
Did you play against him in high school at all?
Yeah, as a sophomore, he was a senior, and I think he only played the first half against us because he had 4 touchdowns, and he picked me off once. So, no, he actually hasn't, but, you know, we had a little chemistry before I got here.
Joe, how cool has this been for you? I mean, your first pass earlier in the year goes for a touchdown. You know, at home in front of family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your first 2 starts at home in front of family.
It's been awesome. You know, especially winning, coming off the field, seeing my dad and my mom there, and my 3 sisters. You know, it's been awesome. You know, I go over, I hug them after the game. You know, you have a guy like Coach Krasinski waiting on the sideline for me. Coach Monaco is waiting on the sideline. You know, all those guys are there supporting me, and it's been awesome.
And you had mentioned earlier that you know, Brady is the quarterback, you know, you most admire. What is it that you most admire
about Brady? I think just the way that he always plays hard. He's not the fastest guy, kind of like me, but you know, he always gets the ball out of his hands, and he's always got that winning fire in him. It seems he's always ready to go, and he's a great competitor.